Greetings and welcome to the planning stage of our next range test video. This is just me talking about some of the considerations and challenges we may have with this next range test video we do. So the first one we did was a 10 kilometer range test video, and that I will link to here in the corner, and you can watch that. The reason we did a 10 kilometer, the reason it was specifically 10 kilometers was because that's kind of the quoted distance on the back of the radios we were testing, actually the Motorola T80s, that was the quoted distance on the back of there as a line of sight, you know, mountaintop to mountaintop distance. So I wanted to prove that that could be done. Since then, we've picked two new locations, and earlier this year, and I think it was February, we did a 27 kilometer test. So again, I'll link to that in the corner so you can watch that if you wish. But we're going to extend that even further and try something which, I don't know, I'm really not convinced it's going to work. But with that comes new challenges. So firstly, you've just got the pure distance. You know, someone has to travel 90 kilometers or more to be able to get to that location and carry the kit and things like that. Secondly, curvature of the Earth becomes more of a consideration. So it's nice to have two locations that are both elevated. It's not necessary. You could have just one person elevated and one person at sea level. But when you're talking about bigger distances like 90 kilometers, the curvature of the Earth comes into play. All we have to do is type in Earth curvature calculator into Google, and if you just go for the first option there, I'm sure it's absolutely fine. Switch to metric because that's what I'm working in, and I'm going to say that my eye height is, I think one of the locations that I'll be at will be at 225 meters ish. So let's just put in 210 there to be safe. Target distance, well, I think it's going to be 90 kilometers, so let's put in 95 to be safe and calculate that. So the horizon distance comes in at 51.7 kilometers, and the hidden height, so the obscured height by the Earth's curvature, is 146.94 meters. So the person on the other side has to be at least that high in order to receive me, otherwise the Earth is just going to block it. And here below we get a nice little diagram kind of explaining. So, you know, you've got one height here, and then the Earth curves around, so it's just going to be blocked by this big ball of rock. So one thing that's sort of always fascinates me is because the Earth is just so massive, this really starts to take effect very, very quickly. So if we just extend this test, let's say we wanted to do 140 or 150 kilometers, you're now talking about a hidden height of 757 meters. So this really starts to become a problem at these kind of distances. Secondly, the second challenge is having two locations that fit that bill in the UK that are accessible. It's good to say, let's go to the top of Ben Nevis in Scotland and let's go to the top of Snowdon and see whether we can talk to each other. That's fine, but you've got to get up to the top of there, and you've got to take all your stuff up to the top of there as well. We're filming these. We're not just using a phone and whatever. We're actually filming these. You know, we're generally using like a tripod and a camera, and we've got sort of mics, and we've got cameras attached to the car and things like that. Just generally creating an actual fun production here. You know, we're just trying to just do something a little bit more produced rather than just someone on a radio going. I'm sure that works just as well as far as proving a point. You can just do it that way, but that's not what we're doing anyway. So we've got to carry all that kit. So it's important that these locations that we choose are accessible, preferably like on the 27 kilometer one, a car park, you know, just a car park where we can park up, got a nice view out, and there we go. That brings me nicely on to the next challenge. Those type of locations often have kind of little bits of foliage in the way, maybe a couple of trees here, a couple of trees there. Now, at 90 kilometers, if this is going to work, this is going to have to be absolute clear line of sight. And I mean not a twig in the way, because the signal level soon drops to nothing if you get this tiniest of bit of anything in the way. So the locations we're looking at are an area in the Cotswolds, right across, probably on the screen, to an area in the Chilterns. And yeah, that is 90 kilometres, goes right across the kind of in between the M40 and the M4 motorway. And I welcome anybody who's watching this to present to me a better location. It's useful if one of them is around the Cotswolds, because that's where Steve lives, and so it's handy for him to not have to travel miles to do this, because he's kind of helping me out with this. So I don't want to say, right, Steve, get in a car, drive 100 kilometres down the road, see if it works. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, drive 100 kilometres back. I don't mind doing that, you know, it's my kind of stuff, it's my testing, and if I can go and visit my sister if that's the case. She lives over that way, that part of the UK, so I can go and visit her if everything fails. But we'll see if it works or not. And we've got the other challenge, of course, is time. We both got families, we both got kids, and it's finding the time. And it sounds crazy to say, because I think it's a common thing for sort of people to just go, oh, I just don't have the time to do this. And really, at the moment, finding a day out, being able to have an entire day out to film is difficult. So anyway, we're planning on doing this. I'm going away in a week or so, and Steve's going away in a week or so, and we're planning on doing it when we get back. So that will be, I don't know when Steve gets back, but I don't know, I'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks. So maybe we'll get around to filming it then. So maybe we'll have this done in, I don't know, let's say a month and a half or something. Let's be optimistic and say a month and a half, that we might be able to get this done in time for the end of the summer holidays. That would be handy. Anyway, there you go. As I say, in the comments, if you want to suggest any better locations around that area, maybe something from the Mendips would be okay for me. I could get to the Mendips, but again, the Mendips are quite difficult to just access. There has to be a road to access this, you know. It has to be just to stop off on the side of a road, maybe walk 100 meters to a viewpoint or something like that. Probably nothing more than that. Anyway, there we go. Don't know what you think, but that's the plan for our next range test. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.
Do you know what I'm saying? So this is the common. You've got Stroud over there, and then the Cotswold Escarpment just follows along here through the woods to our left.
Oh. If I could turn the camera around, but I don't want some footage of a dog doing a poo. Is that a poo or a wee? Pick it up! Stonehouse of Bristol on there. Bristol's just local stuff, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Mayhill looks the furthest. Wherever that is, 14 miles. 14 miles to Mayhill.
Nothing over the water though.
No.
10.7 miles to Barclay Power Station.
Yeah, so that's on this side, obviously. 7.
I can't. The problem is these are very directional. If anyone's interested, probably not. If anyone's interested, this over here is Stroud. Are you sure? Is that where Stroud is? Yeah, that's Stroud. Moving round, this here is that there is Stonehouse with the kind of little industrial sort of area. Is that right? Yeah. And then a little bit further round and a bit nearer, though you might probably won't look nearer on this image, is Middle Yard and King Stanley. Look those up on Google Maps. You'll find them. Just put Stroud UK. You'll find it. recording. Good. Mute the radio.